Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Xen Sams. Up next, in our entertainment and pop culture segment brought to you by Romulus Entertainment, we are featuring comedian Jeffrey Gurian. The media often refers to him as a Renaissance man because he's involved in just so many things. He's a writer, a performer, a director, an author, a producer, a radio personality, and even a doctor, but not always in that order. He's worked with some of the biggest comedy legends from NYC to LA to Montreal. He's performed stand up comedy at some of the biggest clubs and festivals around, featured several times on Comedy Central, along the likes of Nick Kroll, John Mulaney, Amy Poehler, Seth Rogen, Laura Dern, and the fabulous Katy Perry. That's just to name a few, guys. He's also written 7 books. That's right, 7. The first 5 on comedy, and the last 2 of which he calls his happiness series. What an accomplished person. Proud to call him my friend. Today he's coming on and we're chatting comedy, life, happiness, and how he became stutter free. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thanks so much, Zen. It's so great to see you. You are a beacon of positivity. I have to say that. I must start with that. It's so special and so rare, and it just radiates from you. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, my dear friend. I love having you on again. Welcome back. So let's
Thank
tell the world you are a former cosmetic dentist and a former clinical professor at NYU in oral medicine and oral facial pain, and used to be a severe stutterer. You then developed a cure for stuttering and cured yourself. Talk to me about this cure, and is it available to others?
Yes, actually, I'm now working with people all over the world on Skype. Thank God for online, for Skype. Amazing. I started stuttering when I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I stuttered very badly through my 20s and beyond. I could never say my name. I could never say Gurian. Most stutterers have a very hard time saying their own name. And the reason is because your name is your identity. And there's something about stutterers that is not happy with who they are. And if you're not happy with who you are, it's very hard to tell people who you are. And I realized one day that I didn't stutter when I was alone. I only stuttered when I was trying to talk to somebody else. And I consider it grace. I was given the grace to figure out you can't have a disability based on your locations. And a man with a limp limps in every room of his house. He can't go into a room alone, close the door, and walk perfectly. But if I could speak well when I was alone, then theoretically it means there's nothing wrong with me. And that started my quest on learning to control my mind and to control my thoughts and to release myself from what I call the bondage of stuttering.
I love it. It's fascinating. It's incredible. I'm going to direct people to the website at the end of the segment. But let's
Thank
move on to your 6th book called Healing Your Heart by Changing Your Mind, a spiritual and humorous approach to achieving happiness. It attained bestseller status on Amazon, and it's available as an ebook, a paperback, and also an audiobook. Talk to me about the inspiration behind this series.
Well, first I have to show you the cover because it's a meditating dog, and people love dogs. Do you know how hard it is to get a dog to sit in lotus position? It's almost impossible. But um, you know that the title says "Healing Your Heart by Changing Your Mind," and it could be misleading. People think it's about heart disease. It's about releasing what I call the heart wounds that we accumulate from the time we're children. Every time someone hurts your feelings or breaks a promise to you or breaks up with you in a relationship or lies to you, anytime someone hurts you at all, it stays lodged inside of us in our heart chakra. And it stays basically forever. You can overcome it. And that's one of the things that caused me to stutter. I had some negative thoughts about myself. And very often these thoughts are given to us by people who didn't have our best interests at heart. It starts as a child, and they affect your self esteem and your self confidence, and they affect every decision you make in your life. Because every time you're called upon to make a decision, you think about what to do. You use your thoughts. Who else's thoughts can you use? But if your thoughts aren't working for you, it means that you need new thoughts. And very often those new thoughts are spiritual wisdom. And so I developed these techniques of controlling your mind and controlling your thoughts. And I realized that people need to hear this. I actually have 8 books. I wrote another book after I survived COVID. And this book has become very special. People write about it and say it's actually changed their lives. It teaches you how to release the pains of your past.
What's the book called?
Well, the newest book
The
is called
newest one.
facing adversity, stories of courage and inspiration.
I love
And,
it.
and it's true stories that I collected over 20 years of people who have overcome unbelievable difficulties. My stuttering was minor compared to what these people have overcome. And just about a week ago, there was an article in the New York Post about a wonderful actress named Katie Sullivan, who I wrote about in this book, a double amputee born without lower legs, who is starring on Broadway now in a show called The Cost of Living. And to me, it's so amazing because life gives us obstacles, and you can either be crushed by them or you can find your inner strength to overcome them. And I've always
So
been so
true.
impressed. I've been so impressed by people who manage to overcome their obstacles. So that's why I wrote that book, my 8th book.
I love it. You are such an inspiration. We have about a minute left. I wanted to just touch on this. I know that you were recently in Montreal at the Just for Laughs Film Festival. You got to interview the fabulous Amy Schumer. What was that like?
Amy skipped the whole red carpet except for me. I was the only person that she would speak to, which was such a great honor. Thankfully, I know all these people before they became famous. Once people become famous, everyone wants to know them. But I knew them and supported them very early in their careers, and they appreciate that. And they all stopped to talk to me on the red carpet. So I get amazing interviews on my Comedy Matters TV channel on YouTube. Comedy
Yes.
Matters TV.
How does one pursue, very quickly, about a minute left, how does one pursue a career in stand-up comedy in today's day and age? Very
Very
quick.
difficult. Very difficult. You got to pay your dues. There's no quick thing. Although I just interviewed Joy Ying Summers, a new Chinese comedian from LA who's blown up. She's got 1.2 million followers on TikTok, and she's only been performing for 3 years because she's got a very interesting story. Her father was going to throw her in a dumpster, and her mother saved her life because there was a one-child policy in China, and
Wow.
she grew up to be this beautiful, empowered woman who's doing stand-up comedy. So you have to work hard. You have to do open mics. You have to be willing to work for free and totally inconvenience yourself, which is what I did for many years to get a reputation in comedy. It's a very difficult field, but if you believe in yourself, you can do it.
Thank you for your candor. Thank you so much for coming on. You are such an inspiration. You know, I always love chatting with you. We're out of time, Jeffrey, but you are just one of those beautiful, unique souls.
Thank you, Zen. And you know what I say? It takes one to know one. So I send you much love. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, my friend. Guys, you definitely have to check out Jeffrey Gurian. Go on his channel, comedymatterstv.com. You can also check out Stop Stuttering Now, Gurian.com. That was our pop culture and entertainment segment brought to you by Romulus Entertainment. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.